Thanks for joining us today. We are the Web Heads United, and we're here to talk about creating a powerful first impression with your website. But first, before we get into that, I want everybody, we got a great panel here of experts, and we're going to all go around and introduce ourselves. Let's start with Robert. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Robert Coxe. I have a Silphium design and I specialize in websites for the environmental sector.
Awesome. And up next, Pia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Pia Civiletti from Sentient Associates, where I do branding, website design, and marketing.
Excellent. And up next, we have Arthur.
Hi guys, Arthur Moorhead. I build custom WordPress websites. The name of my business is Priority Web 365, where we rebuild trust in website development.
Excellent, excellent. And we have Joshua.
Hello, I'm Josh with Grassroots Consulting. I design, build, manage, and maintain the web presences for small business owners and everyday entrepreneurs.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And up next, Josh.
Hey, my name is Josh Collier with J&M Web Creations. I do website design, website maintenance, some of the more technical stuff, as well as automations and local search engine optimization.
Awesome. And Sam.
Hey everyone, my name is Sam Sternweiler. I am from Opusite Web Design. We help small businesses design and maintain websites on WordPress, as well as help marketing agencies become their white label fulfillment network for anything website related.
Excellent. And my name's Tom Bartholomew, beautiful Northern Michigan here. I run Roofing Optimize, just like the name sounds. I do full service marketing for roofing contractors. So let's get into our topic of the day, our first impressions. And let's just kind of talk about right away, why do first impressions even matter? Who would like to take that? Why does a first impression? I mean, we hear this a lot, but why does that even matter? Pia, why don't you go ahead and give us your overview of it?
Yeah, I mean, first impressions when it comes to a website. So, I mean, a visitor comes to your website and right away something just turns them off. It could be design, it could be the text. It doesn't seem like it fit them or didn't resonate with them. Or maybe they get there and they don't even know where to go. Maybe the navigation wasn't clear. Right there within, a few seconds, you just lost the attention of that visitor and possibly a sale. So pretty much the top of the list as far as importance.
I think that we would all agree. We're all shaking our head yes to that. Joshua, you got your hand up. Why don't you go ahead and give us a little more insight?
Yeah, I mean, everything Pia said is absolutely spot on. I mean, the reality is, even if you're going to go choose a local restaurant for dinner, right? Let's say you've got Italian, you want Italian food, right? You go to Google, you look at the Italian restaurant, you look at one website, you look at the next website. One of them shows you the pasta and the dishes and the atmosphere, you feel like you're there. The other one just looks like it was built in, 2009 and it's not working. You're clearly going to choose the one with the better website. And the reality is, it might not mean they're the better place, but we're making value judgments based on the web presence that we see, and people are doing it to you as well. So it might as well lean in and make that great first impression. And I'm sure we'll get into more on how we can do that.
Awesome. What a great example. I love Italian food, so I'm sure I've done many
That
of
was
those
for you.
searches. Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about first impressions. So we kind of understand that that's really important to have a great first impression, because people are, we talk about attention spans, and attention spans are nowadays 3 seconds or less, right? So if you don't have a great first impression, they're going to be out of there. So what would some of our consistent design elements that we should use, or what would be some examples of making it our website so people would stick around? That great first impression. What are some elements to that great first impression? Josh, let's hear your insights.
As more of on the technical side, if they get there and they never see your site because it takes so long to load, that's a huge thing. So they don't even get to see whether it's a good site or a bad site. So, I mean, speed right off the bat is a huge thing because people, yes, like you said, it's 3 seconds or less. You kind of want your site to load that quickly, and not just on the computer or the desktop, but also on the mobile.
Absolutely. What would be one tip that everybody could use, Josh, that would make their website load faster? Something easy. What would be something that they could do?
Normally, it's compressing your images. That's the biggest thing I see. Having images that still look good, but they are actually a decent size. So they're not giant. They're not something you're going to use for printing because that's going to be a lot bigger. So something that's compressed down will usually be the biggest issues I see.
Awesome images, absolutely. Pio, what would you like to contribute to that?
Well, I mean, the first impression, you always have the, top part of the screen. What is the visitor seeing when they're going to your website? Right now, the trend is because people are so inundated with online information. If it's not social media ads, but everything's on a website. And people are looking for authenticity. And if someone goes to your website and it doesn't seem like it's authentic to them, it doesn't resonate with them, of course they're just going to leave. So having that top, graphic or text or both being authentic to not only your brand, but authentic to your target audience. Do you know who your target audience is, and are you being authentic to them? So I would say that's like one of the main things, that you want to make sure is right there up front when somebody is visiting your website.
I think authenticity is very, very important. Absolutely. Robert, what would you like to contribute to this?
I would say having great engaging imagery at the front of above the fold, and also clearly stating what you can offer to the viewer or the user.
I think that's great. Above the fold, it's an old newspaper term, so that's what you see right when it first loads the website, above the fold. And you're right, you got to have a nice image right there, because if it's all text, that's really kind of boring, isn't it? We want to make sure that we're on top of that. Awesome. So when we're talking about that our making that great first impression and captivating our visitors, great imagery, and all of this authenticity, what would be another way that they get to the front, we got this great image, some real catchy text, and they start scrolling down? How else could we make a great first impression? Joshua.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking on that above the fold concept. I think that there's a psychological factor, and I'll explain what I mean. When people see balance and they see cleanliness and they see the colors play well with each other, and they see that beautiful image that Robert's talking about, and they see it all in a very balanced way, that doesn't make their brain go, where do I look? Or their eyes go, where do I look? What am I looking at? What am I seeing? When everything comes together in a clean way, it draws you in, it engages. And it's a psychological thing. And you could test it yourself. Go to any random website or the next website you go to. Just take a look when you first land on that site. Is it compelling? Is it drawing you in? Or are you kind of like, what is this? I need to scroll down. So before you even get them to think about scrolling down, it's really important to make sure that they feel sense of sort of peace, almost a sense of like, this feels right. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, absolutely. And you had mentioned colors, and I'd like to elaborate on that a little bit, and maybe a little color psychology, or why having the same good brand colors throughout your website. So we don't want to just have random colors and have just throw on anything. Why would we want to have that consistent color theme, or maybe why do those colors matter? Pia.
Yeah, I'm definitely a color freak. So that's like my favorite part of designing the website is is looking at the colors. And it goes back to, again, what are you trying to attract and who are you trying to attract? and what are their likes and dislikes? What emotion do you want to elicit when people come to the website? And when you look at the color psychology, and I mean, this starts out when you're a baby, even when you're designing your baby's room, right? You're sitting there, what do I want my baby to experience? Do you want things to be bright, or do you want them to be calm? So you may, decorate the room with, lighter pastels or sage, light greens, things like that, where when they wake up, they're like, oh, okay, this is so nice and calm. Or, when they're in their room, do you want their brain to be turned on because they're seeing bright yellows and reds and blues? Same thing happens when you go to a website. If you are doing a luxury brand and you want to use colors that elicit luxury, using like the gold yellows, the black, the white, so, something that really stark difference and things like that, but things that say luxury, right? Same thing as if you're doing a website for that has products for children. You want, it to be real colorful and attractive to a child. And then when you go down into really the psychology of the colors, if you go for yellow, right? So yellow is a bright, it makes people happy, it kind of opens your eyes when you see it. So it's, same thing, red. A lot of people say, red is just like, really kind of opens your eyes, it's bright, it's in your face. What do you want your end user, your visitor to, feel when they go to your website? Blue, do you want them to feel calm? It's so, and you look, I would suggest looking up the color wheel, looking up color psychology, and you can get a description of every color, what it means, what emotion elicits, and even what industry. A lot of times like technology industry goes with blue, right? It signifies serious integrity and trust and professionalism. So, you might go with the blue, but there's a color for all the different types of industries, and also the different type of emotion or, say quality of product if you're in a luxury brand type of thing. So there's so much around color. So I'll pass it on to the next person so they can elaborate on that.
I think that's what a great description. There's a lot of psychology behind it, and I loved what you said that make sure that you're matching the color to the person or whatever that you're targeting. And I think that I'm going to throw in there that it's a great idea to make sure that you have a buyer persona, so you know exactly who you're talking to, who your marketing message is geared towards. And there's a lot of resources online where you can find that. So make sure you have a buyer persona so you can pick the right colors for that person. You notice all of us, the web heads, we're technology, we're using blue, right? So that's one thing you can see right away with us. Sam, let's hear from you for a minute here.
For sure. He is absolutely right. There's so much around color. I think we could do a whole session just on color alone, and how it contributes to your website, and then how it elicits emotions for your buyer. A couple points to mention that kind of go away from the emotional side of color is how do you use color in your navigation to make it consistent across the site, and so your users know where to click on your website? What is a call to action or a button versus what is just simply text? And how do you want to structure attention-grabbing text versus maybe some body text that's on the page? And I think that's really important to figure out early on, is which colors will you use for those navigational elements. The other point I wanted to mention is actually the opposite, the lack of color. Lack of color is also super important when it comes to website design, because we want to give users a bit of a break when it comes to an overwhelming amount of stimulation on the website. We want to make sure we have adequate white space in between sections, in between elements, so that users have a chance to breathe. And they also have that clear distinction line of where a section ends, or where a piece of information content ends, and where the next one begins. Early in kind of website design development, you saw a lot of websites using really strong colored backgrounds, like a black background, a neon green background. I think we've gone away from that practice because we figured out that it's kind of overwhelming to the end user, and we want to make sure they have enough chance to breathe and digest that information. So definitely lack of color is important when you're thinking about what colors to be using on the site.
Yeah, what a great point. White space. That has definitely came on in the last, I would say, 5 years, where people are adding a lot more white space, and it lets your elements on your page, your text and photos, it lets them breathe. You got to give them that space so you can see it, so it has that impact. Great points. Robert, let's hear what you have on this topic.
Yeah, to add to Pia's extensive list are in various colors. One that I use a lot in my websites is the color green, which is generally emblematic of the environmental industry and environmental type things, and also use different natural colors like lighter browns to represent the earth and light blues for the sky. So you can create a whole atmosphere or mood using the different colors. And you talk about what Sam had talked about with the white space. If you look at the blogs I did on architects and what a website designed by them might look like, well, architects use a lot of white space in their building to create different effects to bring the outside in or the inside out, or whatever effect they're trying to build. And you can do that in your website as well.
I love that. Taking inspiration from other industries like architecture. What a great insight there. So I think, we've talked a lot about this stuff. I want to touch on one topic real quick, is how can we kind of find out what we should be doing? What would be some way to learn about this stuff? Who should we research someone or check out our competitors, or what should we do to kind of find out what is maybe our industry standard for our own industry? Like, we're all here, we're in marketing, so we look at this stuff all the time in web design. But maybe for somebody that's not in web design, how could they find out, best practices or anything like that? Joshua.
Hire one of us. That would be my quick to the point. But what I mean by that is, I think you can read all kinds of articles, and you can read about theory, and you can read about psychology, all these great things we talked about, and it's all great. But, working hand in hand with somebody who's and especially on the brand development side, because a lot of what we're talking about is related to branding, and finding a partner who not only understands the theory, but really can understand you and help you draw out your expression, right? Because, I often tell my clients when I have conversations around colors and stuff, I say, definitely go and research and look at colors and what they mean. But at the same time, don't forget to look at your own home. Look at the walls that you chose to paint in those colors, like Pia was mentioning with the baby room. Look at your furniture. Look at the clothing. I love orange. Look at what I'm wearing. I just love orange. So your expression, you've already got it. It's in your jewelry, it's in your clothing, it's in your curtains, it's in your paintings on the wall. And if you're especially if you're an entrepreneur, make sure that you include your own self-expression through color and through imagery, which is also related to color, that reflects who you are and what you do. And don't lean 100% on experts and theories. It's great to reference and meaning, but don't neglect your own tastes, because your ideal clients are like you, and they're going to like what you like.
Awesome. That's some great insight. Hire a professional. Especially business owners are busy. They don't always have time to do all the research and find out all this information. So, like Joshua said, hire a professional. Work with somebody that already knows. Pia.
Yeah, so what I like to do with my clients is talk to them about, their branding strategy. And a lot of companies don't ever go through that. And I think even nowadays, because a lot of marketing businesses or companies that are, helping entrepreneurs or small companies get out there are skipping over a lot of this stuff, or they really make it kind of this short thing, go, let's build a funnel and get your stuff out there. And it's like, well, whoa, wait a minute. Like, do you even know who you are? Do you know who your customers are? I think, competitive analysis is definitely important to see who in your industry that you like and that you think is actually attracting the same target audience. What are they doing? What does their website look like? And I think it really depends on, how much of you put into the image of your organization. Depends on what you're selling. If you're selling, a product that is separate from you, right? may not be as important to put you in that, the sales, the image and the feel and look. It really is focusing on what is your customer going to be attracted to. And so that is, it's important to do that competitive analysis with things like that. If it is something where you're a coach, or it's something that's very kind of in line with who you are and you're selling you as the service, then that's where you want to, again, go back to being authentic. Is the look and the colors and that the whole scheme, is it you? Does it represent you? And also, does it represent what you're selling to the target audience? Because again, when it comes down to it, if you are not, a replica of your target audience, then you may not want it to look like just you. And so you got to keep that in mind. And it really does go back to figuring out what you're selling and how you're selling it and what's your target audience and how is that congruent. And then you could go figure out, well, what does that mean for color and imagery and the look and feel and what kind of emotion you want to elicit when someone visits your website.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think one thing that I'd like to touch on real quick before we wrap this up is we talked about colors influencing people and the imagery and the content. And I think another thing that we can utilize to really influence our design is the font, the style of font. And I think that can really make a big impression. If you're trying to be professional, you don't want to use, Comic Sans, which is a kid-like font, right? You want to make sure you stay away from that. So make sure that your font is representing your brand very well. But I think we covered a lot of great information here today. We're the Webheads United. You can find, there's an article that we just published from Joshua Lamothe. He published it, he wrote it on our website, webheadsunited.com. You can go there and check out the resources and articles, and you'll see it on there. Creating a powerful first impression with your website is the article. So check it out and check out the Webheads, and we're always here to help you guys out, and we hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.